Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of the nicest kids in town. I'm Hannah Leach.
And I'm Audrey Leach. We are the sister filmmaking duo, also known as toopinkpictures, and we haven't stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film, in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today, at long last, we are talking about 2007's Hairspray.
It was a time of tradition, a time of values, a time
People who are different, their time is coming.
to shake things up.
Not in Baltimore, it isn't.
Hurry up, Penny, we're missing you.
Jess,
Darla.
Holly.
Noreen. Doreen.
And I'm late. So if every night you're singing and you lie in bed. That was our very own Link Larkin.
And I'm Motormouth Maybell, pitching rhythm your way.
Dancing on that show is my dream.
Want to be one of the nicest kids in town? Cut school tomorrow and come to audition. No one in this house is auditioning for anything.
But Mom.
Amber? Save your personal life for the camera, sweetie. Oh, shiny.
Go on, get out there and show 'em.
Our brand new council member, Miss Tracy Turnblad.
First the hair, now this.
Tracy certainly has redefined our standards.
For sure.
When you follow your own beat,
We get any more white people in here, this is gonna be a suburb.
the world will follow you.
I think no one used the start of a pretty big adventure.
Oh, you can't stop today as it comes speeding down the track. Yesterday is history, and it's never coming back. 'Cause tomorrow is a brand new day, and you don't know what comes back. The world keeps spinning round and round, and my heart's keeping time to the speed of sound. I was lost till I heard the drums, then I found my way. 'Cause you can't stop the beat. Ever since we first saw the light, I'm getting walking like the shaking on a Saturday night. And so I'm gonna shake it, shimmy, you can follow my mind today. 'Cause you can't stop the beat. You can't stop the beat. You can't stop the beat.
Hairspray.
This is America. You gotta think big to be big.
Big ain't the problem in this family, Wilbur.
Audrey, there's something special about this episode today. Would you care to share what it is?
Yes, so as I was logging my Letterboxd films that I've watched recently, which I always do, I was logging Hairspray and I found out that this is the 50th movie that we're covering.
Ooh,
Which is
and honestly, it is exciting and a deserving honor because we've wanted to talk about this movie for a really, really, really long time, but didn't want to do it prematurely. So the grand finale of our season 3.5 musical mini season seemed like a good time to talk about Hairspray, don't you think?
Yes, very much so. The best time.
So Hairspray was released on July 20th, 2007. End of cancer season. Great time for this movie to come out. And it was directed by Adam Shankman. Well, this man has directed a lot of things that are very relevant to us. So first of all, he is directing Hocus Pocus 2. Oh, no. He's executive producing Hocus Pocus 2. He was a producer of the movie adaptation of Rock of Ages. He was the producer of 17 again, and also The Last Song, and Cheaper by the Dozen too. So those are all things he produced, but even more relevant are the things he's directed. So he directed one episode of AJ and the Queen, which is funny. He's directing Disenchanted. He directed the Rock of Ages movie also, which makes sense. And he directed A Walk to Remember, a movie I have not seen and know that I should because it's relevant to us. The movie was produced by two individuals, which if you've been listening to this season, you're very familiar with these men at this point. Craig Zadan and Neil Moran. They have directed basically produced every musical that we've talked about so far. So we owe these men our lives, to be honest.
Hopefully
Next
they don't
up-
suck.
They might suck, but have you heard anything about them sucking?
No.
Okay, good. I hope they don't suck. I really, really do. The screenplay for Hairspray was written by Leslie Dixon, who wrote the screenplay for Mrs. Doubtfire, The Heartbreak Kid, and the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday. Leslie is a woman. I did check. And she also was the executive producer of Limitless. I like how I just made it sound like being a woman was one of her credits, but she is a woman. And so, okay, there's a lot of layers of IP that go along with this movie. So Leslie wrote the screenplay, but Leslie adapted the screenplay from the Broadway musical Hairspray, written by Mark O'Donnell and Thomas Meehan. This musical is like very ubiquitous. It ran on Broadway from 2003 to 2009. It won a bunch of Tonys. It's very well known. But that musical was an adaptation of the John Waters movie Hairspray, which is, I believe, John Waters' like only PG rated movie. And for those who don't know who John Waters is, he's like an icon. He's an iconic film director known primarily for his collaborations with Divine, but some of his more famous movies are Crybaby, Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, Polyester, and Hairspray, of course. And he even makes a cameo appearance in the version of Hairspray we're talking about today as the Flasher in the very beginning. I don't think that he has any beef with the sugar codedness of all the adaptations, because I'm sure he's making a ton of money from it on top of it all. So John Waters gets his flowers. Audrey, do you want to read this plot synopsis?
Yes, so the plot synopsis for Hairspray. Pleasantly plump teenager Tracy Turnblad teaches 1962 Baltimore a thing or two about integration after landing a spot on a local TV dance show.
An interesting description.
They make it sound like she's like giving them all a lecture. No, she's not.
I know. I thought that was funny.
And then as for taglines,
there's a lot.
Jeez, what is this, like 10?
There's a lot of them.
What the hell? Okay, there's a ton of them. I'm gonna rattle them off. Who's who behind the do? Get ready for something big, July 20th. You can't stop the beat, ... July 2007. This summer, when you follow your own beat, there is no limit to how far you can go. It was a time of tradition, a time of values, and a time ... to shake things up. In July 2007, are you ready for something big? Oh, yes. Remember when a movie could make you dream, make you dance, and make you feel on top of the world? When you follow your own beat, the world will follow you. On July 20th, the summer blockbuster is getting a whole new look. For anyone who wanted something bigger, there comes a time to break all the rules.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There were 11 taglines. I doubt that all of those were legitimate options. But I just wanted to give you something challenging. So
that was
there's
insane.
all 11. Okay.
Wow.
So this cast is really big and really full of relevant people. So what I'm going to do is just read the cast list in billing order, and I just chose the movies they're best known for from their IMDb pages because I didn't want us to get stuck talking about this forever. This is the cast in credits order, and you will see how shady this credit order is as I'm going through it based off of screen time and amount that they're actually in the movie versus where they rank. First up, we have John Travolta in drag, if you could call it that. To me, it's more just costume, as Edna Turnblad. This was the role that was originated by Divine in the 80s, and I'm pretty sure played by Harvey Fierstein on Broadway, I think. He's best known for his roles in Pulp Fiction, Get Shorty, Grease, and Saturday Night Fever. Truly just a meatball sub of a man, and America loves him. Next up, we have Michelle Pfeiffer as Velma Von Tussle. She's best known for What Lies Beneath, Hairspray, One Fine Day, and The Fabulous Baker Boys, and she is really evil in this movie. Next up, we have Christopher Walken as Wilbur Turnblad. He is best known for The Deer Hunter, Catch Me If You Can, and The Prophecy. And I do not know a single one of those movies, and I thought that was funny. Next up, we have Amanda Bynes. We know who she is. She plays Penny Pingleton in this movie, and she's best known for She's the Man, What a Girl Wants, Easy A, Sydney White, and The Amanda Show, and, of course, wanting Drake to murder her vagina. Next up, we have James Marsden as Corny Collins, one of our favorite men on this earth. He's best known for X-Men, 27 Dresses, Enchanted, Hairspray, obviously, and The Notebook. And then next up, we have Queen Latifah as Motormouth Maybelle. We literally were just talking about her last episode, but she's best known for Chicago, Hairspray, Taxi, Beauty Shop, Living Single, and she was in like a weirdly large amount of kids stuff from when we were kids. So it's like Ice Age 2 and shit, but like I don't need to go into that. Then we have Brittany Snow as Amber Von Tussle, best known for Pitch Perfect 1 and 2 and the movie Prom Night. I don't really know shit about her, but she is a significant character in this movie. Next up, we have Zac Efron as Link Larkin at truly peak cuteness, peak teen cuteness. Obviously, we know him from High School Musical, 17 Again, The Greatest Showman, which I still haven't seen, and Charlie St. Cloud. Here's the thing. I always feel bad shitting on that movie because I have a lot of friends that really like it.
I'm sorry, friends. It is just not good. So sorry.
All right, you can take the fall instead of me.
Yeah,
okay.
I will fall on that sword.
Next up, we have Elijah Kelly as Seaweed, truly one of the hottest men ever to be seen in a movie. He is best known for 28 Days, Strange Magic, and Lee Daniels, The Butler. His hair is immaculate in this movie, and I love him. Next up, we have Allison Janney as Prudy Pingleton, the mom of all moms, and she's best known, at least to us, for her roles in Juno, The Help, The Hours, not Breaking News in Yuba County, but just that's relevant somewhat.
It's on planes now, guys.
There you go. And apparently she's on screen for less than 3 minutes of this entire movie, but that does not matter. Well, it matters, but it still wasn't enough for Nikki Blonsky, who is literally Tracy, to be billed above her. So Nikki Blonsky is best known for Hairspray. She was also in the show called Huge, which was an ABC Family series about fat camp. She was also in a show called Geography Club. Audrey, what is your are you able to share your saga with Nikki Blonsky?
Yeah. I think so, right?
Okay, I think so. Yeah.
So basically, I've always thought that the world really needs a documentary about Nikki Blonsky because we do. Like,
they do.
Duh. And so, like, sophomore year of college, I was in this documentary class that required, I think it was like for my final or something. And you were supposed to like find a subject that you really care about. Like, you really want to do a good job on a short about the subject. So I was like cold emailing Nikki's agent at the time and actually got a response. And then there was supposed to be like a call. And this was when I was like 19, which is so funny. There was supposed to be a call and I waited for it. And then I like followed up when the call was supposed to happen. And, the agent was like, never mind, Nikki does not have time for this. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So, and then, like right before COVID started, literally, or actually I think it was like roughly when COVID started, I had the bright idea to buy a cameo from Nikki Blonsky and like re-pitch the idea. So I did, and so obviously, since I bought her time, literally, she like had to respond to me.
What did she
And
say?
She said yes. I mean, she was like, yeah, she was like, but COVID had just become serious, so it was like, you know, in the future, like I think she said like once this calms down, like, you know, so.
Oh my God. You have to send me the audio so I can put it in here.
Audrey, hi, it's Nikki Blonsky. How are you? So, you wanted a pep talk about the coronavirus. Okay, girl, this is how it's got to go. You got to bunker down. You got to hang in there. You got to do you, take care of you, take care of yours, your family, make sure everybody's happy, healthy, fed, clothed, clean, and just keep it moving, sis. Don't worry about, you know, I mean, that's the only thing you can do. You can't worry about things you can't control right now. We can't control the coronavirus, but we could do everything to take precautions. So step it up. Everybody take precautions. Distance yourself. Don't be on top of people. And just be kind to yourself in these rough times and to each other. All right, hang in there. And yes, I love that you're finishing your first documentary. So yes, DM me. Be well.
Nothing but love and respect for Nikki Blonsky, and people deserve, I think we all would love that, right? We all would love to see the nuance of her life. Like, who doesn't want that?
Fully agreed. And when I was reading all of the reviews of Hairspray, like in preparation for this, people kept talking about how she is such a star and like deserves her flowers so much, but has clearly not been in a lot of big things since she was in Hairspray. Which is sad because she is really good. And she came out as gay not that long ago. So she's gay on top of it all. Who doesn't love that?
She's got a great TikTok. Go on her TikTok.
I know. I get notifications all the time that's like, Nikki Blonsky invites you to join her live. And sometimes I do just to see what she's up to, you know?
Yep.
Okay, so there's just two more people. Little footnotes. Next up we have Taylor Parks as Little Inez. And this is like Taylor Parks of Ariana Grande adjacency. She's also apparently my friend Diana's cousin, which I find to be very funny. And then last but not least, we have Mr. Pinky. In the original Hairspray, he played Wilbur. So cameo casting with Mr. Pinky. Mr. Pinky might be my favorite in this whole movie, to be honest. So when he's like, I'm Mr. Pinky. It's my favorite part. Okay, numbers time.
All right. So the budget for Hairspray was $75 million. The box office opening weekend made $27,800,000, which is the best opening weekend for a musical ever up until that point. So,
yes,
wow, that's awesome.
It was beaten by Mamma Mia in 2008, just 1 year later, which sucks.
Damn.
But still, yeah.
They held it for a few months. Mm-hmm. And then the overall worldwide gross is $203,552,922. So yeah, they're not hurting, obviously. And then as far as critic scores and opinions, it has a 91% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know.
That's crazy. Hairspray is an energetic, wholly entertaining musical romp, a fun summer movie with plenty of heart. Its contagious songs will make you want to get up and start dancing. And then the critical takes. This film leaps at you with such joy and vigor and generosity you cannot reject it. Somebody else says, I actually can't remember the last time a movie opening made me so cheerful. The third critic says, Waters' cultists have ample reason to be wary, but the film retains a surprisingly subversive edge that undercuts its blinding surface gloss.
I agree, personally. And then the audience score is 84%. So very, very favorable spread between the critic and audience score, I have to say. And when I was looking through the reviews, it was very much the same situation it always is, which is people loving it and then people saying, I don't like musicals.
Yeah.
So, these are just 3 audience reviews that I thought were really funny. The first one is John Travolta as a wife. That's hilarious. A wife, specifically. And then we have it's the only movie that Christopher Walken actually does right, which I can't agree or disagree because I haven't seen him in anything else, but I love him in this movie and he does it extremely right. So I do agree about that part. And then last but not least, this guy, his name was James Z on Rotten Tomatoes, said this: tireless musical mixes addictive songs and convivially interesting personages, but appeals to modern sensibilities. To importune the past often makes Hairspray a propaganda exercise rather than an impassioned search for tolerance. Which, like,
what the hell?
Those are not words. That's not a sentence, but he really wanted to feel intelligent, and I had to share that with you guys. Importune was used unironically, so I had to do it. Okay, gossip section.
So obviously, it's extremely close to the High School Musical 2 era.
Zac Efron did not go on the High School Musical tour because he was filming Hairspray, and also probably because Drew actually sang all the songs.
Yeah.
A combination of the two.
Correct. But yeah, I feel like culturally, I'm gonna post this on our Instagram, but I found this Today Show interview that had like Elijah, Amanda, Nikki, and Zach, and they're all standing there, and Matt Lauer, lol, he asks Zach specifically, like, what has it been like for you to like do all these musicals, and like High School Musical 2 is about to come out, and Zach is just so clearly uncomfortable about it. Like, he just did not want to be the musical man. He didn't.
Really?
Yeah, like he did not want to be the musical man, but I also get this vibe of like he feels really uncomfortable in the spotlight. And he's there promoting this movie with 3 other people, and they're focusing on him too much, and he knows that, and you can tell that it makes him uncomfortable.
Oh my God. That is really interesting. And it's also interesting when you think about him now, because all the stuff he's doing is like kind of weird reality adventure guy shows. Things we remember about this movie from childhood. Audrey, what do you have?
Well, it was a minivan movie.
It was.
Yeah, like it became one, or it was one. I don't think it was there from the beginning, but it was there at some point. Mm-hmm. And so we did watch it a lot. And I'm sure you would probably talk about this too, but like being just like extremely white girls growing up in Silver Lake, Ohio, which is also really white. Just sheltered white girl vibes. So I don't think my childhood brain couldn't understand the parts of Hairspray that came from true experience and the parts that came from a campy musical. Like I didn't know there was source text. Like I didn't know like what any of this came from. So I think I was just kind of confused about like the line between reality and fiction.
Yeah, I feel like I have wrote a note about this in my notes for the movie, but like especially for us, I feel like there were particular media experiences that like taught us what racism was.
Yikes. Yeah.
I don't think that's a yikes.
I mean, it is. Well, it is.
I mean,
partially.
it is a yikes, but it's just true.
I think I just loved it. I just loved it fully, and like was never bored watching it. Like there's really hardly any slow points. So it's just a banger.
Hairspray is the sort of thing where like if you're a not skinny white girl who can't sing that high, Hairspray is always in the back of your mind as like, oh, maybe this show would be a good fit for me or like my friends. And like we had a lot of kids in my grade who were like pretty good at acting and singing and stuff. So we always wanted to do like an ensemble cast type show like Hairspray. Despite the fact that we had one Black person involved Kirk as you're listening. So I remember having conversations talking about how we would cast our all white except for Kirk version of Hairspray when I was like in 9th grade. And I feel like this came back up again culturally, like over the past 2 years, like people doing all white productions of shows that are specifically about race. And honestly, as you've heard from us doing this show, our school did shows about race all the time and made them not about race. So it wasn't even out of the realm of possibility that we would do that. But thankfully, we never did. And then my most shameful confession. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. My most shameful confession is that I just 100% sang I Know Where I've Been for a show choir audition one time. And it was not in good taste, but I did do it because it was one of the only alto musical theater songs I knew. And so I did that. And thankfully, very few people saw it, but it did happen. So there's some growth. I was 14. What's your reaction to that?
I think that's just reflective of what I already described about like just being culturally like not ignorant in a way of like we were ever openly hateful, nothing like that. It's just ignorance, like not having the world experience to see why that would be a cringy thing to do.
Times were different in 2009, let me just say.
Yeah, and that is like I've seen a lot of TikToks of like like a bunch of white people doing like In the Heights or whatever, and it's
yeah.
It is so funny and just like the best cringe content you could ask for. Like at some point, I guess we can only assume that there will be uncomfortably white productions of Hamilton, which adds a whole other layer of wrong.
Yes.
So we all have that to look forward to.
Okay, so you can go watch Hairspray on Netflix. It's very easy. But regarding our lack of knowledge on some subjects or just us being white girls, we are going to pull in a couple guests in the second half, just kind of sharing their thoughts on Hairspray in terms of like representation and how it's aged. So you can look forward to that in the second half as well. But yeah, go watch the movie and we will meet you back here. We're back, and it is time for us to talk about 2007's Hairspray. So there's lots of good things, lots of bad things, lots of interesting things to talk about. So first of all, should we start with the good things?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you care to go first?
So, I mean, there's a lot more. I have hardly anything negative to say. And that's just how it has to be. I'm not going to pull stuff out of my ass for this. Like, it's just, I'm going to be honest.
I have a couple things that were genuine.
Yeah, I have a few, but I don't have that many.
Right.
Understanding and appreciating how much of a perfect casting Nikki Blonsky was. Just, like,
perfect.
It's just... It's amazing, and like they did a whole nationwide search, and it kind of similar to like Annie, where they saw just thousands of people and like were totally willing to pluck from obscurity, which is like usually a great move.
Yes.
And I want James Marsden in more musicals. And shout out to Brenda in The Nicest Kids in Town.
Yes.
You know, when they do the call off, they're like, Maureen, Doreen, then, you know, that whole thing. Our cousin Julia played Brenda in their dance school's rendition of Nicest Kids in Town. And so every time I hear the song, I always go, Brenda, because that's what we would do.
When I heard Brenda, I was like, why am I thinking about Julia? And I couldn't place why, but there it is. That's why.
That's why. And then on like the film side, oh yeah, also I really loved the line, tell me I get a free caftan. But yeah, on the film side of things, I was appreciating, and I always bring this up for every musical that we do now, is like, how is it being adapted from stage to screen, and are they using the medium in a way that makes sense for the show and also enhances the content that's there. So I feel like when I was watching I Can Hear the Bells, I felt like that was a good example, because pretty much every line in that song has its own setting and its own mini sequence. It has like musicality and it has a story, and that story is not something you could tell on stage. So they're really thinking about how they can enhance the song using the medium of film. They didn't have her start at the beginning of the hallway and dolly track her down to the other end of the hallway in one song. That's what Christopher Columbus would do for Rent, and that's not what we're doing. Like, they're using film language to enhance every song, and that is what I love to see.
Yes. And I want to chime in about that exact number too. I agree with everything you said. And there was one specific part that I thought was really, really funny in a way I hadn't noticed before, which was the sequence of her looking through the bathroom window into the boys' room. Yeah. And she's like, Link and I are French kissing. And he like licks his hand and then like sees her in the window and she like sinks back down. It was just really funny. I was like, wow, this is so clever and well thought out.
Basically, Hairspray, and we'll talk about this later, but Hairspray can be seen as one huge example of what cultural appropriation is. Because, like, and there's, like, tiny examples of it, and then there's the whole story. Like, the story as a whole could also be seen that way. But when Nikki... when Tracy goes to detention and learns the dance move like Peyton plays, she learns it and like they're having a good time, and then when they're at the dance thing and Zac Efron is singing Lady's Choice, Nikki goes over to Seaweed and is like, we should do your dance, and he's like, I can't do my dance because we're segregated, but you do it. And that is what gets her onto the Corny Collins show. So it's like, it's just a great literal example of it. If there's like white people out there who are not understanding, you know, and we see this all the time with like TikTok and dance, like specifically with dance. There will be Black creators who make choreograph dances that become viral, and then like Charli D'Amelio does it, and then it actually is like claimed as a dance, you know, and they'll give dance credit to whoever it is, but it's just not the same thing. And like there's a lot of like racism within the TikTok algorithm, which I've seen videos about and noticed myself. But I feel like it is, I don't know why I just started talking about that, but it's just a good example of how racism continues to morph with technology.
Also, I think a really good example of the appropriation thing. So I wrote this down as a cultural reset for our lives because I know that it was. But the New Girl in Town sequence where it's the white girls and then it snaps to the black girls and they're just like killing it.
They're just so much better.
Like they're just so much better. And it's like funny because they're doing the exact same thing, but one is just so much better. And then you find out that they wrote the song and that it was like controversial that both the groups sang it on the same show. Also very efficient storytelling, I have to say.
Yeah.
My other good things were all just, well, one of them is that the production design of the movie is really consistent and really pleasing. I really love that about it. And all the casting makes me extremely happy. And there was a moment, I think during Without Love, that I was like almost crying because it's just such a joyful movie.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is giving me brain chemicals rarely obtained naturally. And I appreciate Hairspray for that very thing. I love Edna. She's not John Travolta to me. I love her so much. I love her performance. One of my favorite parts of the movie. And then also, I just really, really, really loved the line that Link says when he says, "I can't believe she savagely bludgeoned an Eagle Scout." That made me laugh out loud.
Yeah. No, he's funny.
Like,
he's funny in
beautiful.
this.
I know he is. It's because there's like actual cleverness to the
Yeah.
lines in this movie. Okay, I just have two small bad things really fast, which is that I felt like Mrs. Von Tussel's reminiscing about the pageant like didn't really make a lot of sense where it was. Like it felt kind of shoehorned in. Like that felt like kind of a bad adaptational moment, but I can forgive
And it's
it.
actually shortened.
And I mean, I believe that it's shortened, but just it was a weird place for it to be for
but
me.
like they shot more. Like it's a deleted scene. There's more to it.
Yes, I also saw that earlier today. And then I also just really hated conceptually that Link was the first one who like does an integrated dance on the TV show. I was like, after all of this, he's gonna be the one to do it first. But then at the same time, I'm like, of course it's like the hot white guy who has to do it first, so they like they won't stop him. That's just like another good
Symbolic
like
thing.
example.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. And like is that us reading into it? Kind of, but also it totally makes sense if you think about it. Any other bad things for you?
I mean, there's just some vocals that are really pretty dang bad, if we're being honest. Namely, John Travolta and Christopher Walken together.
Oh my God. I was shook at how
They're
bad they
like
were.
not okay. It's not acceptable, honestly.
I feel like they had to have done that on purpose.
Well, no, I think they would have done better if they could have done better, but they can't.
No, I mean like the vocal producers did them dirty on purpose for it to be like funny, because it's like the singing isn't even in time with
it's
each other.
weird.
It's like that can be fixed.
I don't know, man. It's just not good. And
I love that song though. I'm sorry.
that's my least favorite song in the whole show.
I knew it would be your least favorite song, but I like it.
It's just not giving. It's just not.
I know it. I know it's not giving, but I still like it.
Well, I'll let you have that.
Thank you.
And then poor like Amanda Bynes, great casting, but the vocals are shrill. They're sounding very constructed.
Speaking of Nikki Blonsky singing, also one of my favorite things in the movie is the extremely heavy-handed backups and I Can Hear the Bells. Like, they're just so good. I love them so much. I can hear the bells whole time. And there's harmonies and they're good too. Okay. So problematic things. We're going to tag in some of our friends here to weigh in on like the meaning of the representation in this movie to them and also to us. But I do just have to say, I was really surprised at how nasty Mrs. Von Tussle is. She's way more racist than I remember. It was in Miss Baltimore Crabs, and she's like, when they're like roasting everyone who's auditioning, and she was like, oh I would get a new nose if I was her. Then like the Oigavolt thing.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that was nasty. Never caught that before. I also thought that it was just kind of funny that, not funny, I mean, again, this is me doing the thing that we do on this show, but that like Tracy escalated the protest by whacking the cop because she doesn't know not to do that, and then she runs away and then all the black people get arrested.
Well, that was gonna be my main thing too. Like that's essentially my main point is like, welcome to 2 hours of Tracy Turnblad making things way worse. As far as like, or being ignorant in a way that causes problems.
Yes.
You know, obviously like protesting, doing all that. Her intentions are so good, but she's too ignorant in this world to know how to operate. But she's also so bold that she won't just let other people lead, let Motormouth Maybelle lead. So there's that. And also just as an idea, like the idea of this movie and the show, they are putting the issues on a similar playing field of being plus size or being overweight and then being black in America. They are being sort of equated in Hairspray.
Part of what makes the John Travolta Edna portrayal so weird is that so Hairspray is a feel-good movie, and you're supposed to forget that it's John Travolta being Edna, and I choose to see it that way. But it's if the whole movie is about accepting her as a different sort of person, and it's also obviously very queer coded. Clearly, that's the whole point. But then at the same time, it's we all know that's a straight John Travolta in a fat suit. Not playing it for a punchline, but very easily could have played it as a punchline. It's how, it's hard because with John Waters, it was subversive, but not trying to be earnest and heartfelt at the same time. Yeah. Whereas this version is trying to do both. And it's being fat or being weird in when it comes to Tracy and her mom, is a punchline kind of often in this movie. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel they don't make race a punchline, at least not as much. And from my point of view, which obviously is very specific, I don't see it as much. But I guess if you think about it, that can be tonally a little confusing, but honestly, it's just bubblegum, and I love it for that because it is so joyful and the songs really are so good.
And the ability to make such serious topics bubblegum and so joyful is just something that does not exist anywhere else.
Right. Yes.
What other content is there? What other this is a very singular piece of art in that way.
And I totally agree with you. And the whole thing about it is that the ending statement of the musical version is that progress is happening no matter how much you try to stop it. Then the natural way of the world is progress. That is a really nice sentiment to buy into. And even though it's okay, look at the events of the past 2 years now, it's things are better, but they're not done. So it's weird to be oh, this was the 60s. They placed this in the 60s and they're saying it, and a lot has changed, but a lot hasn't changed. But it's nice to buy into the sentiment that Hairspray is dishing you, which is just very inclusive and positive.
Okay, so best song for me is a tie between Without Love and The New Girl in Town, whatever that song is called. I think
The New
that's
Girl
what
in
it's
Town.
called.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, as I said, my least favorite song is You're Timeless to Me.
Sad.
My favorite choreography is the part in Run and Tell That. The part where Taylor, who plays Little Inez, is dancing in front of the fence.
Yes.
That is my favorite choreography because I was how would I even pick my favorite choreography other than, Nicest Kids in Town. You think of the iconic moments, but the moments in the music where you wouldn't necessarily think the choreography would be amazing, it was. So
yes.
I really remember that part. And her vocal is insane.
Yeah, it is really good. I also thought that her choreography there was so much better than her choreography when she's actually on the Corny Collins show at the end.
Yeah, it is better. It's
I was
way cooler.
What's happening? My favorite line to sing specifically is, well, there's a lot. But I like going, she was the new girl in town. That specifically. Also, just singing Good Morning Baltimore is like the most satisfying experience ever. Okay, favorite song without love. But also I really like Big Blonde and Beautiful for obvious reasons. So fun to sing also. Really good lyrics. There's underratedly very clever lyrics in this movie. Like when they're talking in The Nicest Kids in Town, they're like, you won't get into college, but you'll still look cool. Don't know a verb from a noun. They're the nicest kids in town. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
And my least favorite song is Miss Baltimore Crabs. I just don't like it that much, and I don't think her voice is that good. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
And I can't speak to the choreo because my brain does not process choreo. But
Yeah.
No, that's not true. My favorite part is that weird move that Corny Collins does when he's standing on that platform and it's like with his elbows, and it's also during The Nicest Kids in Town.
I could do that. I love that dance move.
I literally could not do that. Like, you would have to teach me how to do it. I cannot comprehend how that works. Like, I really can't.
That one really sticks in my mind too. Like, I can remember as a kid, like, being like, let me do that move right now. Like,
it's a good move.
It really is.
Okay, so here today is my new friend Abby, the host of More Than Tracy T. Can you explain a little bit about what your podcast is?
Yeah, so my podcast is all about fat representation and body size diversity in the entertainment industry. So the reason that it's called More Than Tracy T is because I am a plus size actor, and I've been told my whole life that I should play Tracy Turnblad, and I never get told I'd be good at playing much else that's age appropriate because I'm in my 20s. And oh my goodness, it started to really, like, Tracy Turnblad was like this black cloud hovering over me at one point, and I was like, I can do more than this. Like, this is not all that I am. Hence the title More Than Tracy Turnblad. You know, I'm a white person, I'm a woman, I've had those experiences, but I don't know what it's like to exist in a fat body outside of that. So I really wanted to get as many perspectives as possible on the podcast. So it became an interview podcast, and every week I talk to a different fat person or person with a perspective on fat phobia in the entertainment industry.
Do you remember the first time you watched or saw Hairspray and what your first impression was?
Yeah. So I was probably 10 years old, like, sort of knew I was fat but wasn't ready to, like, confront that. Like, I was just trying not to think about it. I like really suddenly got fat when I was about 10. I think it was probably puberty. In hindsight, like, looking at the pictures, I'm like, okay, I just hit puberty. But at the time, I, like, had no idea what was going on, and it was, like, really scary. But anyway, this movie was the first time I ever saw a fat person, and I remember like a fat person as a lead on screen having any meaningful story. And I was in my parents' basement, and I got the DVD, already obsessed with, like, Fiddler on the Roof and Phantom of the Opera and Sound of Music and stuff. So it was logical, and the movie was coming out, and I'm surprised that my parents bought me something that was, like, new, and I watched it probably, like, every day, or at least very often. It was added to our regular rotation of movies, many of which have been discussed on this podcast. I just absolutely love this genre. This was, like, literally the only movies that I had seen before, like, college.
Literally me too. Same. So when you were watching it when you were a little kid, what do you think it specifically was about it that made you want to watch it over and over again?
Well, like, a big part of it was that I'd never seen a fat person as a lead, although pretty quickly I started to be like, oh, okay, so all I can be is Tracy or Edna, God forbid. I was terrified that I was more like Edna than Tracy, which is, like, it's like kind of a gender thing, I think. Like, it was challenging to my femininity to see one of the only two fat characters on screen being played by a man in a fat suit. Although in hindsight, I do really love what he did with the character. Yes. That aspect of it, and, like, I had danced when I was a little kid and quit ballet, and was scared to get back into dance now that I had, like, gained so much weight. So this movie was really helpful for that as well, and, like, was a big motivating factor for me to, like, get back to dancing. because I was like, well, if I'm gonna play Tracy, I gotta be able to dance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like I danced all through high school, and obviously I went to a BFA musical theater program, so in college, and like dance has always been a really positive thing for me, and I don't think I should discount this movie's role in that.
When I just rewatched it, because I always rewatch before we do the episodes, obviously, I was like, I went into it being like, okay, John Travolta definitely makes me uncomfortable in this movie. But then I watched it again and I was like, this is actually a very loving portrayal of this character.
It is.
But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot in the text that like almost doesn't hit right because he's not making her the butt of a joke. You know what I'm saying?
That's so fair.
Like Timeless to me is a little weird because it's like he's like actually embodying the whole character without any sense of like, but I'm a man, like wink wink nudge nudge. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that like also like you can't stop my knife and fork when I see a Christmas ham, like all that's all the jokes about her eating.
Yeah.
Which actually a lot I think are cut out of the movie and are only in the musical.
Yeah.
But and that's the one place where I think Hairspray does fail in its representation of fat people. Is like they did not take, if Edna has like a binge eating disorder, they did not take that seriously.
Yeah.
Or if she's just obsessed with food and they made fun of that, like equally fat phobic. I mean maybe that's nitpicky because I do love John Travolta's portrayal. Like he played it straight and no pun intended, I guess. Yeah, I totally agree with you, but I also really needed to see Your Timeless to Me played straight when I was
same
a kid. Like I needed that.
Totally same.
And,
yeah.
You know, you were expecting the whole movie, like the first time you watch it, you're expecting like, okay, there's no way the husband really likes her. Like I remember thinking that she was absolutely going to get seduced away by Velma or Christopher Walken was, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And that was shocking to me.
Yeah.
Like it was also probably the first time I'd ever seen a husband on TV who didn't want to cheat on his wife.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Hashtag goals.
Yeah, right.
I do not support fat suits. I think they're terrible. I also think a lot of musical theater drag is like super transphobic and misogynistic and like is just terrible to many marginalized people. But the way that John Travolta played it in Hairspray almost redeems it for me, at least in that one case, because he did it so sensitively and taking the character so seriously and refusing to point and laugh at her. And I was like, okay, like if you're gonna do a fat suit, this is how you need to do it.
Totally.
Still don't, but like
yeah. So one thing that Audrey and I were talking about a little bit is the relationship between sizeism and racism in Hairspray. And I'm wondering what your take is on like the kind of semi-equivalency that's drawn there.
Ooh, interesting. I don't think of it as equivalency. I think of Hairspray as a journey of Tracy waking up and realizing that her own oppression, like she sort of realizes her white privilege and that she can put herself aside to fight for more marginalized people. So for that reason, I understand the criticism that people say Hairspray is a white savior movie. But I have never really thought of it as drawing a direct equivalency because I think there is like a storyline of Tracy very much acknowledging like, no, I need to sort of pass the mic, you know? And that's why she doesn't have the 11 o'clock number Motormouth Maybelle does.
Right. That's true. That's a good point. So obviously Nikki Blonsky has gone on to live in varying levels of internet infamy over the past 2 years. And I'm wondering what your take is on why she's stuck in this purgatory that she's in.
Honestly, it's heartbreaking. Like,
yeah,
she's so good in Hairspray. She's so talented. Give her more to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's that thing of like to get like, oh, it's like that sort of psychological phenomenon of like when somebody wants something too much, it turns us off.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of what's going on with her. And like it must be super frustrating to like have this one movie where you genuinely were great. Like I rewatched part of the movie before this recording.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, she's so good. Like she's so right for this part and she does such a good job in this movie.
Yeah. Tracy has been a super like persona and career defining role for Nikki. And what do you think about that?
You know, I think it speaks to how few fat characters we have available for people to play. And I think that to punish Nikki Blonsky for not booking more and for wanting to book more is like very, very gross and ignores like Hollywood's very real problem of fat phobia. And like, look at the next role she played was about fat camp. Like,
right.
Especially in the time Hairspray was released in like 2007, like there was so much less representation of fat people in Hollywood, and particularly less good representation of fat people in Hollywood. And you know, I think she could play any role Beanie Feldstein has ever done. I really do.
Yeah.
And I love them both.
Yeah.
But I feel really sorry for her. Like, I think she's still really talented, and I hope.
Yeah. The thing you said about like the earnestness and like the hyper wanting it, like Beanie comes from this Hollywood family and kind of has a cool girl thing, even though she's a bigger person. Whereas it's like they're like two sides of the same coin in terms of attitude, but like the material is kind of the same. That's interesting to think about.
Right. It's like their castable type is very similar.
So when I was rewatching the movie, I really was kind of ashamed that I had this reaction, but like the last shot of the movie being Zac Efron making out with Nikki really felt like so radical to me even now. And I'm wondering if you have a similar reaction when you see it. Or like how has that evolved over time?
That's an interesting question. Today I don't think I would have such an extreme reaction, although I definitely will say sometimes when I see like social media posts of couples where like, especially if it's like a fat girl and a thin guy, sometimes there's a part of my brain that's like, what? To this day, it's getting a lot better as I get more exposure to it. Watching Drop Dead Diva and My Mad Fat Diary definitely helped. But I think the first time I saw it, I was like probably blown away, because I really strongly remember the part where he says, "Tracy, I'm in love with you no matter what you weigh." Yeah. Which as a kid I had never I was like, wait, what?
Like that can happen?
This was the first movie that I ever saw like a fat person in any relationship, let alone with like this conventionally attractive like, you know, star, like TV star. So, and I think I just dismissed it as like, well, that would never really happen. It's a fantasy.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like it didn't change my concept of love or whether that was available to me or other fat people. It just was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like it was just merely arresting. Like I never thought that it was real.
I feel like same. And now I'm like, wait, it is real. And it's in this movie. And it's so, like, it's just so wild that was something that we all consumed when we were so young. And that it's like the system we're living in is so violent that we still were like,
thing.
No. Right.
How can this one thing push back against years of conditioning when you're so young and then more years of conditioning after you see the thing? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, that's why we need more fat representation.
Totally.
Hence my podcast.
Yes. So, okay, I would classify myself, not to get into the weeds, but I would classify myself as like a small fat person.
Yeah, same.
And I feel like my journey of like accepting that and like it just like not like being less of a big deal, but something I'm like delving into more as like a part of my identity, I guess, started at the very beginning of COVID, because like my whole life up till then was just like diet, not diet, diet, not diet, etc. And I'm wondering when your journey started, especially coming from a musical theater background, which is just like toxic waste swampland. What like 100%. Just tell me where it started and where you are now.
I have a BFA in toxic waste swampland. Thank you. So I will say that like for a lot of my musical theater career, I was not even really plus size. Like I was, you know, kind of borderline. I was a size 12 for a long time. I was a size 14 for a long time. I'm now kind of a 16-ish. And in entertainment, I was never made to believe that was anything but fat. Like even when I was like a size 10, I was still playing the fat parts. So I never had a concept of myself as not fat. And then I just got fatter, so like my self-concept matched the way that my body grew.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird. Like growing up doing theater or in the entertainment industry at all, I'm sure, is such a mind fuck because like you are treated like you are fat, unacceptably so. You are literally assigned all the fat tropes and characteristics and roles that tell you something about what your body communicates. Even when I was not, really fat, or I was like mid-size, or just was like like whatever you want to call that pocket, I still was the fattest of my peer group. And so I played the moms.
Right.
But if you're asking like how did I come to the realization of like what it fat liberation or body positivity or whatever, like I read Shrill after a clandestine drive where I happened to turn on NPR
as
because
one
there was
does.
nothing else good on the radio.
NPR
and
is the
I
gateway
heard
to
this,
Lindy West, 100%.
Yes, it was. There's an episode of This American Life called Tell Me I'm Fat, which features Lindy West, Roxanne Gay, and a few others. And it's a fascinating episode. Totally holds up.
Yeah.
Definitely go listen to it. Just Google This American Life, Tell Me I'm Fat.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Lindy West was on it and was talking about her journey, and I was like, holy shit. And then I read Shrill. I had an ebook on my phone, so no one could see me reading it because I was like, I was so paranoid that anyone would see me consuming fat media and like would notice that I was fat or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so recently I was reading Fearing the Black Body on the Boss, and I was like, this is a step for me.
Yes.
Anyway, I was like, okay, this is a solo show. Like, I got to make a show about this. And so I made my solo show, More Than Tracy Turnblad. And in that time, even though I was still dieting, I was like kind of getting deep into like your fat friends' work, Aubrey Gordon's work, more Roxanne Gay, like all the fat activists that I was finding on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
COVID happened, podcast happened, and the rest is history.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. I genuinely feel like we could talk for a really long time. So, Abby, you're a star. Thank you for having joined me. And surely we will be speaking again soon.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been so cool to come on this podcast, which I actively love to listen to. It got me through several road trips.
Yay. Good. That's what we like to hear. So, Kirk, hello.
Hi.
You're back once again.
Yes, thanks for having me back.
Of course.
Listen, biggest fan over here, obviously.
It's a joy, truly, every single time we interact. So I'm so happy that you're here. And Audrey and I really wanted to talk with you about Hairspray because I have memories in the back of my mind of this show being a beloved show for you, but I'm not totally sure. When was the first time you saw Hairspray? And can you remember what your first impression or thoughts were?
Okay, so it's very important to me. I love the movie and the musical both. But specifically the movie version. So I moved to Solon, where we're both from, would have been the summer before 8th grade. So it was summer of 2007 because it would have been summer of 2007.
Literally same.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Wait, this is making me remember about the thing. Okay.
We're going to get there. Full circle.
Yeah.
Yep. So we moved here we moved summer of 2007. And I remember being like, so not to like gas myself up, but I was like pretty popular in my old school. And so to move towns in 8th grade, I was like, oh my God, I don't have any friends. I have no one to hang out with, no one to talk to. Like I'm miserable, like this like lonely boy. My neighbors on both sides were like old, like either had really young kids or the lady on the other side was like rather old. She was very kind, but like no one I could hang out with. I didn't know anybody. So I spent that whole summer like in my room pretty much from sunup to sundown. And that summer was the summer that they played the movie a bunch on MTV. I had to watch it at least 30 to 40 times. And I became obsessed with it. And like prior to the movie, I had a music director of a show when I was a kid who played me the soundtrack for the first time. He like would play Welcome to the 60s whenever he like drove me to rehearsal. And I remember that song being super important, but not being able to correlate like, oh, this is the same thing until much later. But also, the movie has Elijah Kelly and like that entire black ensemble and Queen Latifah, that I was like, oh, these people look like me and they're doing this like thing that I enjoy doing. I didn't realize that there could be other people, like that there was space for me specifically in this genre of like film.
You saying that you moved at the same time as me just brought back a lot of middle school. And I am wondering if you could recount our thing with this, because it doesn't even feel like it was you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, same.
Because it was so long ago.
It was so long ago, and we were so different. So that year, the spring choir concert, which is like a big, it's like a big deal. Every year they pick like fun songs for kids to sing. So it's no longer like choral arrangements, and it's like these like choral arrangements of like popular entities, right? So it's like that year though we did Hairspray as our like spring choir concert moment. And I had the solo for It Takes Two, which is actually cut from the movie and kind of cut from the movie. And
there's a moment.
We get a little snippet. And Hannah, my dear Hannah, was my dance partner for this whole thing. So but we were like also really far in the back because I had to do this walk down. So I had the very last part, and it's Hannah, being my partner, my dance partner, had to follow behind me, and I like twirled her into my arms and sang the very last like line, "It takes two, baby," like to her, and it was so iconic.
I am like sure that I have documentation of that somewhere. I'm gonna find it.
Yes.
And I remember it being like excruciating because all I had to do was not look awkward, which I couldn't do. I was literally incapable of not looking like super uncomfortable. And it was your moment, and I was like, why am I here? Like.
But I also remember you like not wanting to touch me. Like I would like go to spin you around, and I was like, she's like nowhere near me, but I'm like trying to make this moment happen. And mind you, if you thought you were awkward, how do you think I felt? Like I was like, I don't know what's happening. Like not this closeted gay kid being like, I have to touch this girl now. Like what?
Oh yeah. Oh. It was a moment.
It was
it was bad. But I'm gonna find it. So have you ever been in Hairspray?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I did it. So it was actually the summer following my junior year of college. I had the most fun I have ever had. I had such a blast. But the show itself is such a moment, right? It's like this story of like racial diversity and like trying to create change. And earlier that summer I had done Rent, and there's a similar energy in Rent of like inclusivity and like everyone like wanting to be seen for who they are. But Rent is darker, quote unquote darker, than Hairspray.
Yeah.
And so you like look at Rent and it's a little aggressive and kind of in your face about inclusivity, and Hairspray is a little bit like more subtle, and there's like a little bit more of joy behind it. And so I spent that whole summer trying to figure out like what way will affect change greater.
Have you witnessed personally any particularly stupid white people shit when it comes to Hairspray, like in your childhood, in middle school and high school? Because I feel like there was like a moment where we would talk about doing Hairspray like at our school, and like obviously just say something if something's in your mind. Yeah.
So I have heard of like Hairspray being such a pivotal show about like race. It is like in its DNA. It is a part of it. If you don't have the people to do the show, you can't do it. And we talked about doing it. They were like, because they would say all the time in Solon, like, we would love to do the show, but we just don't have the numbers of the black ensemble to do it, right? Mm-hmm. Which there are other shows that we would do eventually that I was like...
Well, this is what I'm saying. And I talk about it all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even as far back as, like, All Shook Up. All Shook Up is about race, too, but we never talk about that. Like,
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the whole premise is that, like, the wrong side of the tracks is the black ensemble, and then... like Chad and the other people are like,
dude, I've only seen the white person version. I've never seen anything else, so I didn't know.
Yeah, it's also about that. So like when it like the Dean and Lorraine, I think is the character's name, is like that's a race. They're like, we love each other, but we're different, so we can't be together, kind of thing. Anyway, so yes, I have, right, but a neighboring town, and and I don't know if she listens to the podcast, but she knows who I'm talking. Like, you know who you are. Did a version of Hairspray where they colorblind cast the entire show. Right. Okay. So Link was played by a black guy, as well as Seaweed. So lines like "Calm down, cracker boy," no longer make sense because he's okay. He's
right.
Sure. But they did it fully committed, like with their full chest. It was like, we're going to do this musical. And I was like, well, what is the point of that if you don't have, if we're going to lose the story? Or like I have seen other people do things like cast the I Know Where I've Been soloist as a white girl. And you're like,
oh, yes.
Well,
yeah,
I love you. The night can't be as black as your skin. And so it's like a pretty common thing, I think, in middle America to forget that at its core, the DNA of this musical is like, yes, it's just people trying to be included. And while Tracy and her story of being a plus size girl is super important, there's this secondary story that is like integration and how important it is and how not too long ago that wasn't allowed. Like, it's not like this is like a fairly new thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been there. Been there, done that, heard those things.
Yeah. Kirk, I can't sit here and act like I didn't 100% sing I Know Where I've Been for an audition when I was like 14. And I changed the lyric. And I remember when I changed it to, and you know what? I deserved to flop, and I did. I'm not gonna lie. I already said it on the main show with Audrey, but I need to look you in the eyes and tell you that I've done that shit. And kind of the worst part, or no, not the worst part, but at least the context for it. It does not excuse it, but when you're like 14 and you know like 3 alto songs, right. that's why it happens.
Yeah, and no one educates you.
No. Until you look back at it and you're like, oh.
And it was a different time. I can honor that we were different people.
But it happened.
It did. It happened. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
We live, we learn. We are better people because of it.
We live, we laugh, we love, and we carry on. Okay. So you just watched the movie again, right? At least partially.
Yes, I like.
Okay, so did anything in particular jump out to you upon this viewing?
Yeah, I took notes.
Okay, tell me your thoughts.
Okay. Oh, okay. So an issue that I have with the show that I didn't realize is that we never, the people in the movie itself never realized that Tracy takes Seaweed's dance.
Yes, we talked about that.
And that's what puts her on the show. She never gets to say on live television, and maybe she means to, but it doesn't happen in the musical either, where she says like, oh my God, this is my friend Seaweeds, and he's on Negro Day. Like, that never happens, which is a little bit of a letdown. And I couldn't remember, I didn't get to the very end of it. I couldn't remember, do they crown Tracy as the winner?
They crown Lil Inez.
Okay, but in the musical.
What happens in the
musical? Tracy wins.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, Tracy still wins, and then after the fact, Little Inez dances on the show. No. So, yeah, Tracy wins, and Tracy's like, what she decides we're gonna do is make Negro Day every day, instead of letting Little Inez win.
Okay.
Which I like more.
Well, another thing that's interesting, too, and that Audrey and I were talking about, is that, so the whole time, Link is like, I can't be the one who, like, makes integration happen on this show, basically. But then at the end, when it's like, I think before Inez has announced the winner, she just goes on stage, or Link pulls her up and is the first person to like make it an integrated thing, and I'm like, of course it's him.
Yeah.
Who does that? Like, it actually makes sense if you think about it, but it's annoying.
It's annoying because you want it. Well, especially in 2021, we are so about like women getting to do the thing and not having to be subservient to a man, and that's what it feels like, right? It feels like Tracy was just this like mere person that allowed Link to shine and be like, no, you're gonna be the person, rather than like letting Tracy be the girl to be like, no, you're doing this, let's go. 7-8 would have been in 2021. If this movie got redone in 2021, Tracy would be the person making that moment happen, and not Link. They would allow Link to just kind of be the like pretty
witness.
the pretty like co-star and let Tracy be full on the lead, no questions asked about it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it does make sense that because he was so against it, and so for him to be like, no, I can do it is so important.
Yeah.
So it's fair. The New Girl in Town, which is like a bop, like
yes, we talk about that song a lot.
Is a bop. So
yeah.
it is actually underscoring in the musical. But there are no words to it. Like, we never hear the song. It's just like under a scene that happens. And they wrote lyrics for the movie. And this idea, I hadn't thought about this until I was watching it today. This idea that the black girl, it's the black girl song, and that the white girls take it, is like this commentation on like, this happens. This has been happening. Like, black people do something and then white people take it and call it theirs, and that's what the world gets to see first. And they say it without it being like a full-on in-your-face aggressive fight. It's just like Queen Latifah just has the line like, the girls wrote it.
Yeah.
Period. And then all of us, and you just like at 13, 14, I didn't realize how important that was. But at 27, I was like, oh fuck, like, yeah, the girls should get to do it because it's theirs. Like, how dare they?
Yeah.
It's like such a cool moment. You have like the human watching the movie has to decide like, oh, why was that bad?
Yeah.
You have to do the digging. You have that,
right.
And that's what I love about this musical and movie in general is none of it. There are so many things that they clearly want you to learn, but it's never just like pushed at you. You have to go back and be like, what did I learn from that? Why did I feel this way when I saw this moment in comparison to this? And like, you have to do the research. It's about you coming to the answer to be like, oh, okay, and this is how I can stop being bad, or like this is how I can like create change in the same way that they all do.
Okay, cool. So my last the things that we always ask are, first of all, what's your favorite song?
Okay,
in the show.
Oh, it's a tie, but like if I had to pick, gun to my head, it would be Welcome to the 60s.
Okay.
For like a myriad of reasons. First of all, I think it's so fun and like bubbly, and like what I love about musical theater is like the way it can make you feel it can make you feel energy, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the energy that has to happen in that number like explodes. But like I was saying, I did a show when I was a lot younger, and my music director had to pick me up, and director had to pick me up from my elementary school to take me to the middle school to be a part of the show. Because I was like the youngest person cast, and he was like, we rehearse right after school, but we'll push back rehearsal time so that we can get you to come to rehearsal on time.
Wow.
Because I was a star, honey.
Uh-huh.
No. So he would pick me up from my elementary school and drive me. And we only had time for one song from one school to the other, and he would play Welcome to the 60s pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, I love this song. It's so fun. Like, it made me so happy. And one day he played Run and Tell That instead for me. And I was like 8 or 9. And I have distinct memory of being like, that's a fine song, but like, I would rather listen to Welcome to the 60s. Like, it's the better song. And he was like, Kirk, but you will someday probably sing this song, so like, don't you like it? And I was like, I mean, whatever, like, it's fine, but like, tomorrow we should play Welcome to the 60s instead, because it's a better song. And like, fast forward to me doing the show, and he got to see me in it, and like, where he sat was like, I walked out for Welcome to the 60s and was like on that side of the stage, so he got to like watch me sing this song like full out. And like, I was emotional, and that's the last show he saw me in before he passed. And so like, it was, I like looked back on it and was like, I'm so honored that you got to see me have this moment and see me like be in the ensemble and sing this song and like wave my like measuring tape around and be like just the gayest person on the planet and my super cute like pink costume. So like, Welcome to the 60s will always be like very, 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 very important to me.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it'll always be the most important thing. But also, I know where I've been as a fucking stan, and like, nothing is cooler than being able to stand on stage with people who look like you, and kind of like sing this song to like a room of white people and be like, you know, you don't understand the struggle always, but like this is the struggle at its core, and like I hope this song changes you, and I hope the next time you do something that's wrong, like you know that like you remember this moment of like watching these people like sing a song at you. So
Okay, so what's your least favorite song?
you're timeless to me because it's fucking terrible.
Why?
Because I feel like that moment is always like, I think it's funnier when it's not great. You also have to remember that like Harvey Fierstein is the original vocalist on that.
Yeah.
And so there's no singing being done. It's like just Harvey being Harvey, you know?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's not the same. So you need it to like,
That's a good point.
Yeah, you have to like lose, it has to lose its like style and grace because
Glossiness,
it's,
yeah.
Exactly. But the choreography being glossy is what's cool about it. I agree, but it's a bad song.
Your personal favorite line to sing?
All right, so this is going to be a lot. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible.
Okay.
But in Welcome to the 60s, there's the playoff that happens that, so in the musical and kind of in the movie, but they kind of cut it. We have to like change the scenes, and Edna is singing like, your mama's lit, she's all aglow, mama, da-na-na-na-na, right? But there's a riff moment that happens is, your mama, is my favorite. I do that like all the time to people, and people don't know what I'm saying, and
I know
like,
what it is, yeah.
You're sad because it's the best moment in the whole show. It's so good.
It's good. I didn't realize that that's what she's saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's your mama, your mama, your mama, your mama, mama.
Okay. So, favorite movie choreo?
It's a tie between Welcome to the 60s or You Can't Stop the Beat, because it is like a full, I mean, it's a full moment. It's like
it's a production number.
Yeah. Like we're getting all of the things you could ever want from a production number, and the people are dancing their faces off.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't imagine how many takes they had to do, but they are in it. And there's not a wink link. Like all of those ensemble members are serving.
Yes.
And like in the musical, like when you're doing it, it's hard. You like get to the end and you're like out of breath, just like trying to woof out notes and be like please, I'm just shouting by the end of it. There's a lot of like jumping for for ungodly reasons. But in the movie, they're tracked and lip singing, so they get to just kind of like breathe. Yeah. And so they're dancing their faces off, and it's pretty iconic.
So you heard from our guests. Thank you to each and every one of you, those who contributed to this episode. It's a finale episode, so we gotta have the extra people. We gotta get like the final explosion of fireworks sensation going on. And Audrey, I guess this is the end of season 3. Can you believe that? That's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like we didn't even address it until now, and it's the end. But I think because we're coming back so soon, and we're gonna be selling merch, and like there's just so much on the horizon. Like this isn't like a sad thing. Like
no, it's not sad. This is just like, see you in a second. We will continue doing musicals, as we did not do all of them, but we will sprinkle them throughout. It will not just be straight musicals when we come back.
Right. There's far too much left uncovered in the non-musical category.
Okay, so we will be back so soon, and this season's been really fun, and I feel like we've really grown this season, which is really cool. So thank you to each and every one of you who has left us a review, showed an episode to a friend, found us on TikTok, and then followed us all the way here. It really means so much to know there are people out there listening and who look forward to the episodes every week, because we really do enjoy recording the show, even if technology does its best to stop us.
We were lucky enough to be able to record like 5 episodes in a row together, and that was awesome. So hopefully we'll have more of that next season. We will be together like over the holidays and stuff, so I'm sure we'll be able to pull that off.
Yes. Okay. Well, until next time, we love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
You can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with our latest creative projects at toopinkpictures.com. If you want to watch our show as well as listen, we're on YouTube too. Search Sleepover Cinema or go to the linktree in our Instagram bio. We're on Instagram and Twitter at toopinkpictures and would love to hear from you there. We're also on TikTok at Sleepover Cinema, and that's really where the party is at.
And if you like the show, if it brings back evocative memories of childhood or tweendom or babysitting, share the episode with a few friends. Leave us an iTunes review telling us what movie you'd like to see us cover next, and leave us a review if you like the show, and if you don't. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Rule Hoffman with theme music by Josh Perlman Hall. Special thanks to executive producers Michael D'Aloia and David Moss. We'll chat again soon.